Greetings, everybody, and welcome to part two. Yeah, part two of the Hidden Shelf. That's right. So we last time we had looked at the top shelf here. So let's go with the middle shelf, and let's find out what is all on this shelf that's hidden. So yeah, first of all, let's just go work our way here, and we'll go back this way up on top. So first of all, we have some Star Trek. Yep, I do love me some Star Trek. Probably one of the best series ever made. We have Star Trek Voyager Season 4. And we also have Star Trek Season 2. That's right. There's plenty more where that came from. So, next row. Here we have a Blu-ray. The 2007 version, I believe. Yes, the 2007 Blu-ray release of the original RoboCop. This is the version you want to get if you do not have the Arrow Video Deluxe Edition. Because the other release that they came out with prior to this, the video quality was complete crap. It basically was just a DVD port. This looks much better. So, up next, we have a Old Republic cereal. That's right, from the old 30s. I've mentioned that I have the 1930, 43 and the 49 Batman serials. Well, let's add to that with the Adventures of Captain Marvel. The original Captain Marvel. Not the Marvel Carol Dan's one, but basically Shazam. So, up next, we have a pretty decent Julianne Moore horror-related movie in The Forgotten. And up next, a sequel series that took many, many years to get off the ground. But from what I have watched out of it, it's not bad. But, the original is still the best in my opinion. Here we have the complete third season of Fuller House. And on top of that, we also have the complete fourth season of Fuller House. Mind you, I got both of those for like $1.50 at a thrift store, so hey, nothing wrong with that. So up next, here we have the special 2-disc collector's edition of the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, the Wardrobe. Now, this is the theatrical version. It's not the extended 4-disc cut. But still, I will do a run-through of all the Narnia movies that I have. So if you enjoy Narnia and fantasy, keep an eye out for that at a later date. Up next, we have probably one of the best movies I've seen, within the last couple of years. Really kind of came out of nowhere. And because the guy who directed it did a really, really great job with his movie The Lighthouse, starring none other than the Green Goblin and Batman, respectively. However, he decided to go epic. In epic, I mean epic. In Robert Eggers' The Northman. That's right, we got Vikings kicking ass left and right. Awesome movie. If you have not seen this, check it out. Up next, speaking of epics, at the time, this was the most expensive movie ever made, prior to Titanic. But the funny thing is, both those movies deal with water, but this one has Kevin Costner. I'm talking about Waterworld. Yeah, this is the Arrow edition. Now, this is the 2-disc edition. There is a 3-disc version out there. I believe the 3-disc either has like another cut of the film, and or the other disc is like an exclusive documentary to the 3-disc set. I'd have to compare it. And finally, for this little pile of movies, we have Idris Elba and Kate Winslet in The Mountain Between Us. Yeah, it sounded like a pretty good, winter style type of thriller. So I figured, why not? So, here's what's left on top for the first part of the upper shelf. We'll get to the back shelf when we get to the back shelf. So, first up, this movie you have to own on Blu-ray. It looks great on DVD, but with Blu-ray, it looks even better. Old school, more kind of an old school type of movie from back then. But not only that, though, great cinematography with, literally a brand new plane at the time, the F-14. I'm not talking about Top Gun. I'm talking about The Final Countdown. Yeah, with Kirk Douglas and Martin Sheen. F-14s are featured in this. This came out a few years before Top Gun. Check it out, because it has a really awesome documentary on here about the Jolly Rogers, the F-14 squadron. Check it out. So, up next, speaking of awesome, well, what can I say? This show's been around since the 80s. It's still kicking ass left and right. Sure, they've kind of redone it. They've reimagined it. They've sequelized it multiple times. But what can I say? It's just an awesome anime. I'm, of course, talking about Dragon Ball Super. Yeah, parts 1 and 2 on Blu-ray. I do plan to get the rest of these in the same format. It'll just take time, because these tend to go for kind of a pretty pricey money. But what can I say? It's Dragon Ball. So, speaking of Dragon Ball, this really has nothing to do with Dragon Ball, but it has to deal with the word epicness. So, I managed to find this in the complete series of this show a long time ago, but I managed to find something that I didn't expect to find, a single DVD release of the show. I'm talking about Xena Warrior Princess, the series finale single disc DVD edition, which is the exclusive director's cut. Now, I believe the director's cut is actually not in the original set. I'd have to look and see. But, yeah, what can I say? Old school TV show. It's still awesome to this day. Why not? So up next, we have Tobey Maguire and Jake Gyllenhaal and Natalie Portman in one of my favorite movies, which I was expecting to enjoy, but I'm like, it looks like a decent drama, but it ended up being really, really good. I'm, of course, talking about Brothers. Yeah, now this is a remake of a film. I cannot remember what the name of it is at the moment. Let's see, it's called, actually there is. It's called, the original is called, Bradere, I believe is how you pronounce it. I think it's French, but, All right. We got a lot to go through here, so let's not waste any time. We'll just take a small pile at a time. So, first off, we have a documentary. I need to put this with my space stuff. Yeah. Mind you, everything that's on these shelves is just completely random. Everything's not really kind of organized, really, except for, like all the Stargate stuff was. So first of all, this documentary, which Ron Howard produced, we have In the Shadow of the Moon. Yeah, knowing that though, it's got a Hollywood video sticker still on it. Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. Found this movie, and I know of the character because I've seen the first, or I've seen 2 of the movies that starred Antonio Banderas, but this movie, let's just give it a whirl. Talking about Zorro, the Gay Blade. Up next, we have a Luc Besson movie starring, basically Black Widow herself in Lucy on Blu-ray. Yeah. Can't go wrong there with some kick-ass Luc Besson action. So up next, we have One for the Kiddies. Probably one of my favorite movies when I was a kid growing up. Made butt ton of money. So much hype. Took almost 20 some odd years to do a sequel, but the sequel kind of got bashed in my opinion, and it kind of sucks. Basically, the sequel is nothing but product placement. This movie, however, no. Space Jam. Yep. Gotta love the original Space Jam. So up next, we have 3 horror films, all within the same franchise. I'm, of course, talking about a double feature that has The Purge and The Purge Anarchy, which I have not actually watched. And we also have the third film, The Purge Election Year. Not watched any of those yet, but I'll get around to it eventually. So, up next, we have the third film. Well, speaking of third films, we have. Actually, I need to take the sticker off of this thing. Actually, it needs to come out of plastic wrap. Let's see if I can get it here. Let me see if I can just take the sticker off. Yeah, actually, the plastic's gonna come off itself. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Hey, special bonus unwrapping. We have Jeepers Creepers 3. Yep. Haven't seen it yet. I've seen the other two. The first one was kind of surprisingly good. The second one was a little bit different, but, hey, what can you say? Up next, we have a awesome director who has directed awesome films such as Birdman, The Revenant. We have Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu's first film, Ambos Perros. Now, if I mispronounce it, my Spanish sucks. I can't help it. It's probably why I got a D+ in Spanish in college, because I couldn't speak it very well. So, up next, we have from J.J. Abrams, Super 8. Basically, his big homage to Spielberg. An awesome movie. So, I had mentioned that I had Dragon Ball Super, so we've got 2 Dragon Ball movies. Yep. We have Dragon Ball Z, Resurrection F. Yeah, I just watched this, watched it last night, actually. That's awesome. That's really cool. It's been forever since I've watched Dragon Ball. And we also have the prequel. See, the prequel or the sequel? Somebody will probably make a comment down below. It's probably the sequel. We have Dragon Ball Z, Battle of Gods. So up next, we have from Ben Kingsley, let's just say Trevor from Iron Man. We have him in the miniseries of Tut, yeah, which was released back in the day on Spike TV. I don't know if Spike's actually still around now. I'm sure they probably are, but back in the day, hey, Spike TV was the channel to watch for guys. And this movie, well, let's just say that this is basically a repackaged version of it. Could never find the original thick case edition of it, but I'm just glad I finally have it. Found this at Walmart of all places for $5. Yeah. Talking about Sam Raimi's classic, The Evil Dead Ultimate Edition. Oh yeah. It's literally just a repackage. All 3 discs are in there. Exact same content, just basically in a standard DVD size packaging. So, up next, we have, let's see here. Well, probably one of the greatest independent movies I've seen in a while. If you don't mind, just a talky movie, like I know some people enjoy talky movies that it's just about a simple subject. I'm of course talking about the independent film Columbus. If you have not seen this movie, very, very interesting because it stars Sulu from the newer Star Trek films. Yeah. It also has, who else is in it? Parker Posey is also in this movie. Very interesting movie. If you know where this is, you'll know basically every single location of this movie. Maybe I'll do a location video on that sometime. So, speaking of taking personal journeys or journeys in general, we have a Sean Penn film that I've never heard of. It sounded interesting, but what can I say? It actually, I think it's a edition that you can't find very much. It's Into the Wild, the 2-disc collector's edition. Up next, we have an Academy Award nominated film directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet from Alien Resurrection fame. This was made after that movie. I'm, of course, talking about the 2001 film Emily. Yeah, this is the 2 disc edition. I think this is out of print. So you can find it. Good luck. Up next, well, you know what? Let's just go back to the 80s for a brief minute because what can you say? Can't go wrong with a little Chuck. You know what I mean? That's right. I'm talking about Chuck Norris in Code of Silence. Gotta have to throw some Chuck in there, you know. Now this movie, I found this at Dollar Tree of all places, and it just sounded interesting because, you know, well, I had just recently watched The Northman, and this sounded interesting. I'm, of course, talking about The First King, Birth of an Empire. Yeah, kind of a shiny, you know, text there on the cover, but it looks pretty Viking-esque like. So I'm like, for $1, why not? If I don't like it, I can just put it in the yard sale. So, up next, this is the first season out of 2, but I've never watched it, and sounded interesting. Well, because I like the character. I'm, of course, talking about the first season of Krypton. Yep. So, the interesting thing is that it is it's a prequel series to Superman, which is kind of interesting because I've never seen it. So we'll have to wait and see if I can find the second season. That way I can just watch all of it all in one run. So up next, we have a very bizarre movie, but what can I say though? These 2 directors are kind of bizarre in their own right, but they made probably, let's see here, some of the best action films to date that inspired a lot of stuff since then. Yep, from the makers of the Matrix trilogy, or in this case now, quadrilogy, 4 films. We have Jupiter Ascending, yeah, with Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis. Obviously not their best, but visually, they have some interesting ideas in there. Speaking of interesting and weird ideas, here comes an anime. Yeah, I've never seen this. I just found this at a random yard sale because it was like, ooh, a steelbook. Yeah, this is in a steelbook. We have Hellsing, the Ultimate Series Season 2. This is the limited edition 2 disc set. So, yeah, I mean, what can I say? I've never watched it. I know it's a horror-based anime, but I'm like, if I can find the rest in steelbook format, I'll watch it, man. So, I only paid like $2 for that, so I'm not going to really lose that much. So, up next, we have one of the movies that I'm going to be doing a review on here within the next couple of days because it is a racing-based movie, and we have a big race this coming weekend. That's right, we have the Indy 500 coming up this weekend. I'm, of course, talking about the awesome film, Ford versus Ferrari. If you have not seen this, check it out. The review for this will be coming up soon, probably within the next day or 2, as of this recording. So, up next, we have probably one of the coolest movies I've seen in a while. Well, when it came out at the time. But, you know, there was a lot of hype around this. And not only that, though, I mean, you know, it was back when, you know, he didn't have to deal with issues and he was still cool to some people. I mean, he's still cool and all that, but, you know, we have Drew Goddard and Joss Whedon's The Cabin in the Woods. Yep. Sorry, I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Apparently I'm not going to. But yep, has the cool lenticular cover there. And awesome flick. What can I say? It's just an awesome movie. Speaking of awesome movies, we have, out of the DC universe, the original Wonder Woman. Yep. I still have yet to watch the sequel. But this movie was awesome. This movie was totally cool. Speaking of other superheroes, we have on Blu-ray Spider-Man 3. And let's see here. We have here a comedy, which I don't think this is, I think it's actually my wife's, I think. However, though, it has Tim Allen, and, you know, what can I say? It's a pretty good, entertaining movie from what I've seen out of it. But we have Big Trouble. Speaking of Big Trouble, yeah, this guy can cause trouble, but what can I say? He's a robot. He's a cyborg. Cybernetic organism. Yep. Talking about everybody's favorite Terminator movie, T2 on 4K. No, I don't have a 4K player, but this is basically what I like to call this particular edition is basically Cameron's fixed version of T2. You know what it is when you've seen it. Not that much, thank God, but it's stuff that he's been wanting to get done over time. Thank God he finally got it done. So, up next, we have a war film, which sounded interesting. Which I'm kind of glad that it's a film that, usually whenever you think of war films, mostly it's, stuff from, what the Americas did and all this and that. I'm kind of glad that we're finally seeing films, being shown from other countries, getting their perspective on it. I'm, of course, talking about this really, really intense film entitled Stalingrad. Yeah. Winter, tanks, craziness. So, up next. Yeah, we still got a lot to go through here, so this is going to be a long video. Let's see. So we have from the director of Training Day, his first film. We have from Antoine Fuqua, The Replacement Killers. This is the extended cut. Basically, it's like his big homage to like Asian mob and Yakuza style of films. Maybe I'll do a review on that. So up next we have the fourth film in the franchise, which I had mentioned earlier. We have The First Purge. Yep. All I need to do is get them for the Forever Purge, and I'll have all of them so far. Now this series, this actually is not mine. Actually, I got it from my wife, actually, because she liked the show when she was a kid, and I'm sure there's still, I've watched it here and there. It's a great 90s movie, 90s TV series. I'm, of course, talking about Saved by the Bell, the complete series. Yeah, I got this for like $5 or something like that. It was marked down real cheap. I'm like, dude, actually, no, not $5. It was marked down to $2.50. Yeah, $2.50 for the entire show. That's not bad. So, speaking of great shows, we have a great host. Yeah. None other than horror icon legend himself, Christopher Lee, and the 100 Years of Horror. A very interesting little documentary that features interviews about the first 100 years of horror films that go all the way back to the original Dracula, Frankenstein, Nosferatu, the Count of Monte of the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I was about to say the Count of Monte Cristo. That's not even a horror movie. But yeah, looks awesome. Up next, we have this really hilarious comedy, which I've seen, I think, only bits and pieces of. But it features, two of my favorite actresses. One, obviously, is in the Marvel Universe. The other one, well, she's just freaking hilarious in the All Ghostbusters movie. Yep, the All Girls one. I know a lot of people hate that movie, but, I don't care. She's hilarious. Of course, talking about Scarlett Johansson and Kate McKinnon in Rough Night. Yeah, can't go wrong with a little comedy. Gotta have something funny to watch. But then let's get back to seriousness. Because we have this rare, I think it's out of print now, at least this particular edition. We have the 2-disc deluxe edition of Batman Begins with the awesome lenticular cover. Also features a really, really cool, besides this, features an awesome little comic book made exclusively for this set, which features 3 of the stories that basically inspired to help get this particular film made. Thank God it came out, because Christopher Nolan basically saved Batman from pure hell. So, let's see, up next. So, we have, speaking of pure hell, why not go down inside of a tank for hours and hours and hours of, upon end with director who basically has a single vision, and he's not going to stop until he gets it. But what can I say, though? It's an awesome flick. We have James Cameron's The Abyss. Now, I know a lot of people they keep asking, when is this coming out on Blu-ray? When is it coming out on 4K? It is coming. Cameron said himself, it is coming. It was supposed to be out March of this year, but I got a feeling that he's probably being pushed back due to the fact that he's so busy with his Narnia, or not Narnia, but with his Avatar stuff, that he keeps getting pushed back, but it is in the works. It is coming. I got a feeling it'll either be out around fall or December, or if not, sometime next year. But it will be out. Because the digital, if you look up the digital bits on Facebook, it shows that photo in there, that it is coming. So, speaking of it is coming, not really, but, well, let's just say, how about a little after school, activity, supposedly. Here we have Ice Cube and Charlie Day in Fist Fight. This is a hilarious movie. If you have not seen this, this is kind of actors that are kind of just, you wouldn't think that it would be a good movie, but it's hilarious. It's really, really funny. Speaking of movies that really aren't funny, but more seriousness. And yes, even though the movie itself is almost 20 years old by this point, it's got an all-star cast, and not only that though, it goes to show you, start learning to talk to people and quit judging people for what they look like and how they act and whatnot. Get to know people. I'm of course talking about Paul Haggis's Academy Award winning film Crash. Now, if you have not seen this movie, it's not really that controversial, but the way people talk in this film, it's literally how we talk today. Literally. How we view people, and not only that though, it's a really, really good movie about, to teach, not only to teach something, but you learn from this movie, basically, don't judge people by what, their looks, where they came from, what have you. Get to know people, and sure enough, things happen. Great movie. Really, really great movie. So, speaking of great movies, I got to see this in theaters during COVID, and the funny thing is, I was the only one in the theater, so I'm like, sweet. I got to see Christopher Nolan's Tenet. Yep, this is what I like to call part of my 2020 quadrilogy. Yeah, because there were 4 movies I got to see in theaters during COVID, or just before COVID came out. This is one of them. The other 3 I'll mention at a later date when I find them. So, yeah. So speaking of America going with COVID and all that stuff, well, this really has nothing to do with it. But it's just old school. Let's just go back to some Marvel routes. Yep. An action-packed double feature featuring none other than the man with the shield himself, Captain America, and Captain America 2, Death Too Soon. The 2 live-action made-for-TV movies. One of them stars Christopher Lee, or rather co-stars Christopher Lee. They're alright. They're okay, but if you can find this, get it. Because I think it's out of print, and you can't find it anywhere. But it's cheesy as hell. That's the point. Speaking of cheesy as hell, this movie. Yep. I got so excited when I found out that they were going to be actually making a movie out of this. I played the games when I was a kid, and what can I say? This movie got me so hyped because Star Wars Episode 1, the teaser trailer, was attached to it. I'm, of course, talking about Wing Commander. Yep. They say it's Starship Troopers meets Top Gun. There's no way it's even Starship Troopers. Nowhere close. It's something completely different, and I probably will do a single review movie about this because I have a lot to say about it, and there might be a rant in there too about this. after watching it so many times. So, finally, for this little pile that I grabbed, probably one of my only wrestling DVDs. I used to have a bunch, but I got rid of them because I just kind of got tired of watching wrestling. It's basically the same thing over and over and over again, and it's a little bit longer, but it's just, times change, characters change, people retire, yada, yada, yada. But it features one of my favorite matches of all time, which is the Elimination Chamber. I think I got this for a quarter. So we have the Elimination Chamber from 2012. So, yep, like I said, not that very many wrestling movies, but, So, last part of the front row. Yeah, we still have the whole back row to do. So, with this, we have basically one of my favorite directors of all time, David Lean. Excuse me, the director of great films such as Lawrence of Arabia and Bridge on the River Kwai, his 11 Academy Award nominated film, A Passage to India. Yeah. Now, I may find this again because I hate the fact that it's got library printed crap all over it and stuff, so I really hate that. That just bugs me big time. Hopefully I can find it on Blu-ray or something like that and get rid of that one. So, but speaking of old school stuff, yeah, we have this really, really cool set. I think this is out of print. It's hard to find. We have the Boris Karloff collection, which features 5 films, which features Night Key, Tower of London, The Climax, The Strange Door, and The Black Castle. So, yeah, if you love Boris Karloff, there you go. Speaking of old school, we have some old school comedy. The Three Stooges Collection, Volume 2. And, yeah, what can I say? You can't go wrong with Three Stooges. You really can't. So, up next, we have one of my favorite movies featuring puppets. Well, really only one of 2, but thank God the sequel series finally got made. Unfortunately, it's off of Netflix right now. Let's talk about the original Dark Crystal. Yeah, this movie is awesome. What can I say? You can't beat it. I really wish it would just get re-released in theaters to experience it. That would be awesome. So, up next, we have one of my favorite characters of all time. A sequel series, we have Batman Beyond Season 2. No, that's not a sticker right there. Nope. That's the packaging underneath. I tried to take the sticker off and it ripped off part of the packaging. That sucks, but oh well. What can I say? That's hard to find. I'll take it. Up next, we have a 3 movie collection, which 2 of them star Wesley Snipes. The other one does not, but it's part of a trilogy. Of course, talking about the Art of War trilogy. Yeah. I've only seen the first one. I've never even seen the other 2. So, what can I say? Not bad for $1. Speaking of $1, this cost me $2. I was surprised because it's on Blu-ray. And I've never seen this particular version of it. I have seen certain editions or versions of the story. But we have the first of 2 films, which co-star Christopher Lee. We have the 1973 version of The Three Musketeers, directed by Richard Lester, who did a sequel entitled The Four Musketeers, which takes place right after this. If you can find these, get them. Even though it says 15 and it's got all the Region B stuff all over it, it is region free. So if you have a PS4 or whatever, you can do that. Watch it on there. So, all right, let's get to the back here. Jeez, we got a lot to go through. So up first, we have a pretty decent horror film, which is kind of funny because it's almost like a docu-horror type of movie. We have Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Now, there is a slipcover that actually was the originally released with this, I used to have that, and then stupid me sold it, and I got rid of it, and now that is hard to find. That slipcover I think is rare, but I'm just glad that I found this. There was supposed to be a sequel to this movie, but I don't think it ever got made, or they were almost ready to go with it. But if you haven't seen this movie, check it out. It's awesome. Speaking of awesome, you have Starship Troopers. We have the cartoon, Roughnecks, the Starship Trooper Chronicles, the Pluto campaign. There are 8 of these. Get these particular ones because the box set that has all of it does not have any of the bonus features on it. So get the single and disc editions while you can, if you can find them. So up next, we have, well, speaking of this character making his final film appearance, coming up here next month, we have what was the final film in the 80s. We have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Yep, this is in the slim case set. I have the other 2 as well, but this also has some extra bonus features that the original DVD release did not have. Probably because I think they were made for the Crystal Skull or whatever. So up next, we have World Trade Center. Yep, the Oliver Stone 9/11 film based on what actually happened. But this actually is this is the exact same artwork as the 2-disc edition, but this is the 3-disc edition. Yeah, if you can see that down there, look, 3 discs. This is the Target edition. If you can find this, and you don't mind it, get it. I don't really recommend watching it all the time because, with a lot of people, it does still hit a nerve all these years later. So up next, let's go from being kind of sad and melancholy to basically kicking some ass. Oh yeah. How about from the writer of John Wick, we have Nobody. I have not watched this movie yet. How have I not watched this? From what I hear, it's basically just like John Wick, except with Saul from Breaking Bad. That's basically what it is from what I understand of it. And I'm like, sweet, I'll check it out. Also, from Kicking Ass, we have Brad Pitt in Ad Astra. Yeah, a pretty interesting sci-fi film, which I still have yet to watch because I've been looking for this on Blu-ray, and I finally found it about 3 months ago, something like that. So I've yet to watch it. So, let's go here in the back. Luckily, these won't take that much time at all because they're box sets. So we have the 5th season of True Blood. Yeah, the awesome vampire series starring Anna Paquin, Rogue herself, and an awesome TV series which lasted, I think, for I would say 7 seasons, I think, or something like that. But yeah, very weird series. But hey, what can I say? It's weird. But speaking of not being weird, these next 3 sets are awesome. If you can get these, get them. It doesn't matter if it's on DVD or Blu-ray, just get them. We have The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, Extended DVD Edition. I think these are getting harder and harder to find. If you can find them, get them. Up next, we also have The Two Towers, Extended Edition. Now, I have the Gollum figurine that came with this. I did not get the special limited packaging for the first film because I had no idea that there was special packaging. And I also got The Return of the King, which also came with the Minas Tirith cup holder, which was awesome. I don't know where that is. I think it broke on me, sadly. If I can find the special edition again, I'll get it. So, alright. Now, we're finally here to the back shelf. So, speaking of, since I mentioned Star Trek, we have Star Trek Voyager Season 6. And I'm just going to start putting stuff back in here as I go. We have Star Trek Voyager Season 5. We have the 7th and final season of Star Trek Voyager Season 7. awesome show. So we also have Lost, Season 4. Alright, so up next. You know how I mentioned how I had Fuller House, Seasons 3 and 4? Well, I also got Fuller House, Season 1 and Fuller House, Season 2. All I need is Season 5 and the entire show is complete. So, up next, we have the first season of an awesome TV show which I have never watched. I know probably somebody will comment and probably say, how have you not watched this show? I haven't. We have David Lynch's first season of Twin Peaks. Now, I know there is a gold edition out there that has all of it, and I'm going to try to track that down so I can have that edition, because I think there's even more extras on there. We also have Star Trek Voyager Season 1. Yep, Star Trek's kind of all over the place with this set. So up next we have Sylvester Stallone in the Get Carter remake. Yeah, can't go wrong with that. Up next we have Robert De Niro in one of the coolest movies I've ever seen him in. Directed by the legendary John Frankenheimer in Ronin. Yeah, which also co-stars Jean Reno, the professional himself. Speaking of an awesome movie, here we have the 2-disc limited edition of Fire and Ice. Yeah. I'm definitely going to do a full review on this because I need to watch this thing again because I think the lenticular cover there is actually out of print. And I like to keep this up high so it doesn't get damaged. So, speaking of TV shows, we got several of them here. So we have Arrow, the first season, which I still have yet to watch. I need to watch all these shows. I have not had a chance to sit down and actually watch them all. Up next, we have Arrow Season 2. Arrow Season 3. Arrow Season 4. And we also have Arrow Season 6. Yep. I don't have the 5th season yet. I'm trying to track it down. And we also have Arrow Season 7. I'm only missing Season 5 and 8. Then I'll have the complete entire run of the show. Speaking of a certain character that's coming out soon with his latest movie, The Flash, I have The Flash Season 2. So I have The Flash Season 3. Also have Season 5. As well as Season 6. And finally, the season that has just been released, Season 8. So I still need to get Seasons 1 and 4, 1, 4, and 7 on DVD. Then I'll have all of it in that same format. So, we're getting down to the end here, folks. So, up next, we have one of Liam Neeson's more recent films of his, what I like to call his Old Man Can Kick Ass thriller series. We have Liam Neeson in Blacklight. Also, we have the 2nd season of Twin Peaks. And we also have Season 3 of Star Trek Voyager. Yep, I have all of Voyager. Speaking of The Lord of the Rings, remember those box sets? Well, I have 2 out of the 3 on DVD. I don't have An Unexpected Journey. I don't have the first one. But I do have the 2nd film. That's right, The Desolation of Smaug on DVD. And I also have The Hobbit, The Battle of Five Armies, extended cut. The only Lord of the Rings film that is R rated, just for a few extra head choppings and whatnot. A few extra little gore shots. So finally, and last but certainly not least, this is it for the second shelf. Yep. Gonna be a long video, like I said. So we have Nicolas Cage in this really cool film, which I heard great things about. Could never find it. Finally found it. Of course, talking about his weird horror film, The Color of the Space. Color Out of Space. Excuse me. It just looked awesome, and I'm like, hey, why not? Give it a try. Let's go back a little old school here. How about some Errol Flynn? Yeah, old school Robin Hood himself in Dodge City. And we also have from William Friedkin, director of great films such as The Exorcist and The French Connection, we have To Live and Die in L.A., the special edition on DVD. Speaking of special editions, this movie still kicks major ass 3 ways from Sunday, and it has ever since, well, since the game came out in 97. Of course, talking about the official sequel to the game, Final Fantasy VII Advent Children original DVD release. Now, there is a limited edition of this. All the content is the same except for some bonus cards and whatnot, but there is an extended interview edition that has the making of documentary on here with the English voiceover actors. If you can find that, get it. So up next, we have what I'd like to call it kind of like a spin-off series, but I would just throw it in with my old favorite gangster films as a series that kind of goes along with it. Maybe here a bit. We have Mario Puzo's The Last Dawn, the complete miniseries. There is a second one. I need to track it down. But what can I say, though? It's got one of my favorite 80s actors, Jason Gedrick, from the Iron Eagle movies that stars in it. So, this TV series, well, what can I say? It's not really one of my favorites, but my nephews are really getting into it. And, hey, I got to collect them all. Eventually, we'll watch them all at some point. Of course, talking about the Power Rangers, Time Force, the complete series. So I have that, and I have the complete series, that box set, which has the first 3 seasons in the Alien Rangers. That's pretty much all I've got. And finally, speaking of old school, this TV show didn't last very long, but what can I say? The packaging is awesome. Unfortunately, the discs are flipper discs, but what can I say? It's awesome, and I love it. We have Buck Rogers, the 25th Century, the TV series, the complete season, all of it. So with that finally completes the second shelf. Yeah, a very long video, but we still got one more shelf to go, which actually is hidden. So you have no idea what's down here on the bottom shelf. That's right. So with that, stay tuned for the third and finale of the Hidden Shelf. Season